Is it conceivable for someone to vanish without a trace, go missing for days, or die in weird circumstances with no explanation? While in this video, we'll look at 10 cases that are exactly what happened when the individuals involved ventured into national parks and never returned. But before we start, make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates. Let's get started. 10. Stacy Arras. On July 25, 1981, 14-year-old Stacy Arras from Saratoga went on a horseback riding trip with her father George and 7 others in the Sunrise Meadows area of Yosemite National Park in California. After a few hours, they stopped at Sunrise High Sierra Camp to spend the night. After freshening up, Stacy told her dad she was going for a walk to stretch her legs and take pictures of the views. He told her he'd pass, but he did advise her to change her flip-flops to better walking shoes. Stacy was seen walking towards a boulder where an older member of the group, Gerald Stewart, was sitting. When Stacy didn't return, Gerald raised the alarm, and a search party was sent out, but the only thing ever found was the lens cap from Stacy's camera. 9. Missing Danny Filippidis days. On February 2, 2018, firefighter Danny Filippidis was on a ski trip with friends at the Whiteface Mountain Ski Resort when he briefly left the group to retrieve his cell phone from his car. He never returned, sparking a massive search. 6 days later, he turned up in Sacramento, still in his ski gear, with no ID except a credit card. He had no idea how he ended up there, but believed he may have flagged down the truck, and the next thing he remembered was the truck driver telling him he was in Utah, nearly 2,000 miles away from Whiteface Mountain. Danny eventually got a phone, but took a day to remember his wife's phone number to call for help. Danny returned home safely. 8. Tim Barnes. Timothy Barnes, 24, from Cucamonga, California, left Taina Lakes near Highway 120 at 9 a.m. on July 5, 1988, to hike from Murphy Creek Tailhead to Polydome Lakes and Yosemite National Park. When he didn't return by 4:30 p.m., one of his friends reported him missing to the Park Service rangers. An exhaustive search of the surrounding area failed to reveal Timothy's whereabouts, and he hasn't been seen or heard from since July 19, 1990, 2 years following his abduction. 7. Djor Kunz. 2-year-old Djor Kunz Jr. from Idaho Falls disappeared at Timber Creek Campground in Idaho on July 10, 2015. Junior's parents thought his great-grandfather, Robert Walton, was watching. When Djor went missing, his parents searched but found nothing. After interviews and evidence, Vernal and Jessica became suspects. Despite failing multiple polygraph tests and giving contradicting testimony, they were never arrested but returned to his great-grandfather. Many assumed that if the youngster was attacked by an animal or snatched, his cowboy boots would have come off, but they have never been located. After Djor's disappearance, both parents told the media they could damage their son. 6. James Pruitt. James Pruitt on February 28, 2019, 70-year-old James Pruitt parked his car at the Glacier Gorge parking lot at Rocky Mountain National Park and set out for a day of hiking. On March 3rd, park rangers contacted James's family in Tennessee to confirm he was in the area and hadn't heard from him since February 28th. They were unaware of his destination for that day, but said James had no intention of staying overnight in the park. The National Park Service initiated extensive search efforts in the area that were hindered by heavy snowfall, but could not locate James. 5. Dr. McGrogan's fate. Jim and 3 friends started the 9-mile Iceman Hut hike at 8:30 a.m. on March 14th. Jim and his pals were experienced hikers and prepared for the snow, which was several feet deep in some places. He was never seen again. Despite their hopes of catching up, Jim was reported missing at 5:30 p.m., and a rescue operation began. He was found after 5 days. Jim's phone rang once before dying the day he disappeared. Backcountry skiers found a body 4.5 kilometers from Booth Falls 20 days later. It's Jim. His snowboard and helmet were close. James died of various injuries, including head trauma and a broken femur, and the coroner ruled his death an accident. But as with all similar cases, many doubts remain. 4. Linda Arteaga. On September 22, 2012, 53-year-old Linda Arteaga was hiking with her brother Eddie in the Arkansas Ozarks near St. Joe. Eddie returned alone after becoming separated from his sister, and when she didn't make it out, a large-scale search was miraculously started. Linda was found 5 days later in a distressed state, but she couldn't remember how she ended up alone in the woods. She thought her brother was hurt, and she was trying to find help for him as she saw other hikers and tried to communicate with them. She also said she could see other shadowy figures hiding from her in the woods, calling them weird people. One of the rescue workers who found Linda believed she wasn't of sound mind. 3. Morgan Heimer. Morgan Heimer, 22, was a guide for Tall West on day 6 of an 8-day Colorado River trip when he went missing. He was last seen on Tuesday, June 2, 2015 at 4 p.m. near River Mile 213 near Pumpkin Springs in Grand Canyon National Park. Morgan told the lead guide he was taking some time off in the afternoon, but when he didn't return for supper, he was reported missing. At first, searchers weren't very concerned because Morgan had the skills and capacity to survive if he got lost. They thought he would be found alive and well, but after 6 days of extensive searches of both the rivers and land, there was no sign of Morgan, and no evidence of him has ever been found. 2. Derek Lueking. Derek Lueking, 24, was a Tennessee-Pennsylvania Behavioral Health Center orderly. When he didn't show up for work on March 15, 2015, alarm bells rang and phone calls failed. His roommate Ryan confirmed his disappearance. Ryan contacted Derek's family, but they had no idea where he was and rushed from Virginia to Tennessee to help find him after looking through Derek's computer and finding a search for the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and a hotel reservation. By luck, they found Derek's white Ford Escape in the parking lot of Newfound Gap on the Tennessee-North Carolina border. The automobile had $1,000 worth of fresh survival gear, military survival guidebook pages, a wallet, and cash. Rangers searched the park and interrogated hikers, but no one remembered Derek. Despite his job dissatisfaction, acquaintances didn't think he was despondent or suicidal. Derek has been missing since 2012. 1. Stephen Kubacki's mystery. Stephen Kubacki Hope College, a small Christian university on Lake Michigan's southeast side, enrolled 23-year-old Stephen Kubacki in February 2018. Stephen often took day-long cross-country skiing outings alone. However, this time he didn't return, and when his search was launched, a 200-yard track of footprints in the snow extended beyond the edge of a lake before abruptly terminating, leading authorities to infer that Stephen drowned under a thick layer of unbroken ice. After a year, Stephen's skis and backpack were found abandoned, but he was never recovered. On May 5, 1979, Stephen Kubacki awoke from his disappearance. He had no memory of the previous 14.5 months and only discovered how much time had passed after buying a newspaper and seeing the date. He made his way to an aunt's house in Great Barrington and was reunited with his startled family. That's it for today. Please like and share our videos. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for regular updates. Thanks for watching.